Well, I guess I've been very lucky all my life. I started rallying, driving a race car in 1984, and my car broke. And I was a poor broke college student who don't have the money to fix it. Basically just sitting on jack stands in the garage, and the whole gearbox was broken. So it has to have a gearbox change. And this kid from another class that I don't know very well, but he knew I have a lot of tools because I have work on the rally car. So he says, well, can I come over and fix his car in my garage and use my tools? So I say, sure, of course. Come by, and he did. And so we were working on his car, and I was trying to edge him into fixing my car too, because I'm basically not mechanical at all, and I was hoping that I was doing him a favor. Maybe he can do me a favor, right? But it's like, no way, the job is way too big. And so we started talking, and then he mentioned something that kind of clicked in my mind. He says, oh yeah, you should just totally buy utility stocks, because his father passed away when he was in high school, and they put his insurance money, he and his mom put their insurance money in utility stocks. And back then, that was 1985, and interest rate was really high. And he was saying, the utility company pays you 10% dividend. There's no way you can lose. So I say, wow, okay, that sounds interesting. So that kind of got me click and started looking into stocks. And then I went to bookstore and looked at all the books to buy on investing. And there was a book says, how to invest $20. And that's the first investment book I bought. And in there, it tells you, how, because back then, to buy 100 shares of stocks, you have to pay like $150 in commission. And there's no way, it's just way too expensive to pay. And so in this book, it shows you there are some brokerage that has special services that you could actually buy stocks and accumulate fractional shares at no commission. And also the way to invest $20 is by mutual fund. There are mutual funds that you can buy without paying commission. And so that's how I got started in stock investing. And very quickly, I got into option trading. And that's another long story. So in 1986, a few months after I started investing, I bought some silver. And now we're looking at silver around $100 an ounce. Back then, it was $4 an ounce. And like I said, I've been very lucky all my life. And for some reason, I read this thing on either a newspaper or a newsletter that says it's time to buy silver. And I just did. And dumb luck, silver went up by 25% in like 3 months. So I made quite a bit of money. I think it was like $200. Now you look at it, it's not a lot of money. But imagine for a 21-year-old back in 1986, that's pretty good money. So that's how I got started, my first few investments. And then I started doing options. And the stocks was going up. Imagine back then, the S&P 500 is just slightly over 100 point. That's like, when the index first started. Now it's around 6,000. So over the span of 40 years, it went up 60 times. So back to my story is, I actually started trading index options. And because that was the year the stock started this huge bull market since the 80s. That was actually the year. And so I basically just dumb luck, caught it, and I started buying index options. And all you have to do is buy call options, right? Because the stocks will keep going up. There's nothing you need to do. You don't need to be smart. You don't need to be right. You just need to buy call option, and you make money. And for the first year in trading option, I think I made like $20,000. I thought I was so brilliant, right? So I was telling all my friends, and then I started this thing called the Option Investment Club. And basically, it was structured like a hedge fund. I didn't know what a hedge fund was, but I set up a limited partnership, and I was a general partner, and basically I get 20% of all the profits, and that was just like the structure of a hedge fund. And guess what? In 6 months, it went to zero. So yes, I was lucky, but obviously I had a lot to learn.